Most men crumble when struck by betrayal, loss, or failure. They drown in grief while their rivals advance. The problem is not the blow. It is your mind's inability to endure it. If you can control your thoughts in chaos, you will control the outcome of your life. Today, I will show you how. When life decides to break you, it will not send you a warning. It will not grant you the mercy of preparation. It will strike when you are most certain of your stability, when your plans seem unshakable, when you have allowed yourself the luxury of believing you are safe, authority. And when it strikes, it will take from you more than possessions, more than relationships, more than opportunities. It will take the illusion that you are untouchable. Most men, when struck by such force, believe they have been robbed. They see the pain as a curse, as an unjust punishment, as something that has no purpose but to destroy. And that is why most men remain weak. They never understand that pain is not simply an obstacle, it is a forge in which the heat, the pressure, and the relentless hammering either shape you into something greater or shatter you into useless fragments. You see, the soft cannot command respect in a world built on competition and control. The mind that has never faced true agony is like an untested blade, shiny, perhaps even beautiful, but brittle. One strike and it breaks. But the mind that has endured the fires of loss, humiliation, and despair becomes something else entirely. It becomes tempered steel. It learns that strength is not a gift bestowed at birth. It is extracted from suffering, stolen from the jaws of misfortune. When you are broken, the weak part of you will cry out for relief. It will demand that you escape the pain, that you run to distraction, to comfort, to anything that dulls the burn. This is the moment you must refuse. This is the moment you must stand in the fire and let it do its work. The world will try to convince you that pain is an enemy. I tell you it is your most loyal ally, if you have the will to command it. In the forge, metal must endure the blow of the hammer again, not once, not twice, but endlessly until it takes its new form. And so must you. You cannot touch greatness after a single trial. You cannot expect to be formidable after only one fall. Life will break you many times. It will humiliate you in public. It will betray you through those you trusted most. It will take your victories and feed them to your enemies. And in each of these moments, the heat will rise, the hammer will fall, and the choice will be laid before you: shatter or become unbreakable. Do not confuse the two paths. Shattering feels easier because it requires nothing of you but surrender. Becoming unbreakable demands that you abandon the comfort of self-pity. You look at the wound without flinching, and that you ask, not why me, but what can this turn me into? Weak men will call this cruel. They will tell you to be gentle with yourself, to avoid hardship, to seek peace above all. They speak this way because they fear the forge. They fear the burn, the hammer, the transformation. And so they live and die as they were born, unshaped, untested, forgotten. But the one who embraces the forge knows a secret. Once you have been broken and reforged, you fear nothing. What can they threaten you with when you have already stood in the fire and lived? What insult can they hurl? What loss can they inflict that will make you fall to your knees when you have already been on the ground and learned to rise without help? Pain is not random. It is the universe's most brutal method of refinement. It strips away the illusions that made you weak. It burns off the impurities of ego, of entitlement, of naivety. And when the flames die down, what remains is not the same man who entered. It is something sharper, harder, more dangerous to those who would oppose you. If you think you can avoid this process, you are deluded. You can hide from challenges. You can run from risks. You can wrap yourself in comfort like a coward. But life will still find a way to break you. The difference is this: if you have trained your mind to see pain as a forge, you will welcome the blow. You will step into the fire willingly, knowing that each moment of agony is reshaping you into something the world will have no choice but to respect or fear. The man who fears pain is a slave to circumstance. The man who embraces it becomes a master of himself. When your world falls apart, remember this: you are not standing in ruins. You are standing in the furnace. The heat you feel is not your destruction. It is the power being welded into your very being. When life breaks you, your first instinct will be to feel, to rage, to cry, to curse your enemies, your fate, even the gods themselves. And this is why most people never rise again. They mistake their emotions for guidance. They allow the very thing that blinds them to become the architect of their next move. This is the great weakness of men. They are ruled by the storm within rather than the strategy they require. The moment of collapse is the moment when emotions become most dangerous. They do not speak in reason. They scream in impulses. They whisper lies that feel like truth, that you must retaliate now, that you must make them pay immediately, that your worth is gone forever. If you obey them, you will act from desperation, and desperation is a scent that your enemies can smell from across the battlefield. They will circle you, confident you will destroy yourself before they need to lift a finger. Detach yourself from this. Understand this clearly. Emotions are not your commander. They are your spies. They give you information. They tell you what hurts, what you fear, you crave. But they must never decide your course. The moment emotion becomes decision, you have surrendered the advantage. The man who reacts from rage strikes too soon. The man who reacts from despair stops fighting altogether. Both end in ruin. You must learn the discipline of stillness even in chaos. When the wave of anger rises, you do not ride it. You let it crash against the shore and disappear. When grief floods your chest, you do not drown. You let it pass through until the tide recedes. You do not act until the waters are clear, because only then can you see the truth of the terrain. A general who charges into battle without surveying the ground loses not only his soldiers, but the war itself. In this you must become like the stone fortress, unshaken by the screaming winds, unmoved by the pounding rain. The enemy will attack in ways meant to provoke you. They will aim for insult, for humiliation, for betrayal, not merely to harm you, but to push you into making mistakes. Do not give them the satisfaction. They will interpret your composure as weakness. Let them. When they believe you have lost your will, they will drop their guard, and that is when your strike will be fatal. Detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to let feeling dictate the terms of your survival. Even the most ruthless ruler feels fear when his throne is threatened. Even the most cunning strategist feels anger when betrayed by an ally. The difference is that he does not feed these feelings. He locks them away until the moment of action, and then, when the time is right, he releases them not as reckless explosions, but as weapons aimed with precision. Imagine a poisoned blade. In the hands of a man consumed by fury, it is swung wildly, missing its target and wounding himself. In the hands of a man who has mastered detachment, it is delivered with one deliberate thrust, silent and certain. That is the difference between reacting and deciding. When your emotions rise, treat them as if they belong to someone else. Observe them without ownership. Say to yourself, this is anger, this is grief, this is fear. By naming them, you take the first step in stripping them of control. You begin to see them as tools to be studied, not masters to be obeyed. Authority. There will be times when the people around you will try to pull you back into emotion. They will tell you that you must feel your truth, that you must speak from the heart. These words are poison. They are the creed of those who wish to keep you weak, because a man who acts from the heart without consulting his mind is predictable, and a predictable man is easily defeated. In the courts of power, the ruler who cannot detach his judgment from his emotions is a ruler whose enemies do not even need to outthink him. They simply need to provoke him. They need only whisper the right insult, spread the right rumor, or remove the right ally, and he will destroy himself with his own hands. Never let you stand in the wreckage of your life, when the ashes of what you built are still warm, and the urge to act immediately is clawing at your throat. Remind yourself that the first blow throw will either begin your rise or seal your fall. If you strike from anger, from grief, from fear, the strike will be sloppy, and your enemies will only grow stronger from your failure. But if you strike from a place of cold clarity, when the mind is unclouded, you will not simply hit your target, you will eliminate it entirely. It is not easy to master this. It will feel unnatural, even impossible, to resist the surge inside you. Your blood will boil, your body will ache to move, to lash out. But this is where you prove whether you are like the masses or like the rulers of men. The masses obey their feelings, the rulers master them. In the game of survival, emotion is the wind. It changes direction without warning. It stirs chaos without intent. Your decisions must be the mountain, immovable, unshaken, carved from something far older and stronger than any passing storm. When life breaks you, the world assumes it has seen the last of you. Your enemies will smirk in the shadows, certain that you are finished. They will speak of you in the past tense, as though your chapter has been closed and your name will soon fade from memory. They will use your defeat as proof of their superiority, proof that you were never truly a threat. And in their celebration, they will expose themselves to the one truth they cannot imagine. That defeat can be transformed into the very weapon that destroys them. Defeat, in the hands of the wise, is not the end of the game, it is the beginning of the next move. The masses see failure as an execution. They lose and they scatter. They lose and they vanish. Those who understand power see defeat as camouflage, a disguise that lowers the guard of those who once feared them. A fallen man is underestimated. An underestimated man can move freely. And a man who can move freely is dangerous beyond measure. When the world thinks you are finished, it stops watching you closely. It stops tracking your moves. It relaxes. This is the moment you must take. This is where the planning begins, not in the heights of your power. When every eye is fixed on you, in the quiet obscurity of your fall, when no one is paying attention, your enemies will be drunk on their own triumph, certain that you have no pieces left to play. This is when you rebuild, not openly, but in the shadows, piece by piece, until the moment comes when you can strike with the weight of all you have endured. Defeat strips away illusions. It shows you who is truly with you and who is only there to enjoy your victories. It reveals the cracks in your strategies, authority, the weaknesses you were blind to in your moments of pride. This knowledge is worth more than any victory because it is earned in pain, and pain burns lessons into the mind far deeper than comfort ever could. Every miscalculation, every betrayal, every moment you thought you were untouchable is now intelligence you can use. And intelligence is the sharpest blade you will ever wield. Do not waste your defeat by drowning in shame. Shame is the currency of the powerless. You must look at your loss with a strategist's eye, as a map that marks every mistake and every opportunity for the future. Ask yourself, what did I overlook? Who played me? Where was I blind? What did I depend on that I should have controlled myself? Answer these questions with brutal honesty, and your next rise will not be built on sand, but on stone. There is a reason the most dangerous rulers in history were often exiles, prisoners, or men who'd been publicly disgraced. They had tasted the bitterness of defeat. They used it as fuel. They built their return not on empty hope, but on calculated revenge. They came back leaner, harder, more cunning. And when they struck, they did so with precision, removing their enemies as a butcher removes meat from bone, cleanly, efficiently, without hesitation. Defeat is also a disguise for your transformation. When the world believes you are broken, it does not see the man you are becoming. You can alter your alliances, your tactics, your entire image without attracting attention. You can sheathe the skin of your former self, the one they knew how to attack, and replace it with something they have never faced before. By the time they realize you are no longer the same opponent, it will be too late. There is an art to staying silent in defeat. The masses want to explain themselves, to justify their loss, to tell the world their side of the story. This is weakness. Silence forces your enemies to invent their own narratives, and in doing so, they often reveal more about themselves than they intend. Let them believe whatever comforts them. Let them think you are licking your wounds, drowning in regret, plotting nothing. The less they suspect, the more freedom you have to prepare. And while you prepare, study them. Your loss has given them confidence, and confidence makes men careless. They will speak openly. They will leave vulnerabilities exposed. They will make decisions without considering you a factor. Every scrap of information they reveal is a weapon you can store for the day of your return. You do not have to rush. Patience is your ally. The longer they believe you are no threat, the more powerful your eventual strike will be. Do not confuse patience with passivity. You are not waiting idly, you are constructing. You are learning, refining, building a foundation so strong that when you rise again, they will not be able to push you down with the same tactics. You are fortifying your mind, sharpening your strategy, and gathering the resources that will ensure your next victory is decisive. A man who has never fallen cannot understand the depths from which a true rise begins. Your authority. He does not know the hunger that comes from being counted out, the precision that comes from having no room for error, the cold satisfaction of watching those who once mocked you choke on their surprise when you return. This is the fire that defeat gives you if you choose to use it. Authority. When you rise from defeat, you do not simply reclaim what you lost. You take more than you had before. You strip from your enemies not only their power, but their certainty. You become thing they feared you might be the first time, only now you are harder, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. When life breaks you, the event itself is only half the battle. The other half is how the world perceives it. Men believe that power is determined by truth, but truth is a fragile thing, easily shaped, easily hidden, easily drowned beneath the roar of a better story. Your defeat, your humiliation, your fall from grace. These are not defined by what actually happened, but by the version of events that survives in the minds of others. If you do not control that version, someone else will, and they will use it to bury you deeper than the event itself ever could. The masses accept the first story they hear. If your enemy speaks before you, their voice becomes the truth. If the gossipers speak before you, their poison becomes fact. It does not matter whether it is accurate. It matters that it spreads. Once a narrative takes root, it becomes harder to uproot than the event that inspired it. That is why you must never allow the silence after your fall to belong to anyone else. Even in ruin, you must be the author of the story. This does not mean you rush to defend yourself. The weak scramble to justify their losses, spilling details, pleading with the crowd to believe them. This reeks of desperation, and desperation invites contempt. To control the narrative, you must speak with the tone of one who is still in command, even when the battlefield says otherwise. Your words must carry the weight of inevitability, as if every blow against you was foreseen, as if every setback was part of a larger design. You do not explain, you frame, you do not plead, you dictate. If they believe your loss was expected, they will not view it as weakness. If they believe your absence is temporary, they will wait for your return. If they believe you chose to retreat, they will fear the reason why. The truth is irrelevant. The perception is everything. The man who can turn even his collapse into a calculated move will never be seen as defeated. You must also know when to say nothing at all. Silence, when deliberate, is a powerful author of its own story. It forces others to guess at your motives, to fill the gaps with their own fears and assumptions. Every question they ask without an answer gives you control, because it is you who decides when and how that answer will come. The longer they wonder, the more power you hold over the outcome of the narrative. Control of perception is not only about words. It is about image. Your enemies will look for signs of weakness in your posture, in your tone, in the company you keep. If you appear desperate, they will smell blood. If you appear unaffected, they will doubt their own victory. Dress as if you have lost nothing. Speak as if you are still seated at the head of the table. Move through the world as if nothing has changed, even if everything has. When the people see you, they must see a man who has not been broken, only repositioned. This is how you keep your influence alive while you rebuild in the shadows. They will continue to attach your name to strength, not collapse. And when the day comes that you rise again, your return will not be viewed as a surprise, but as the inevitable restoration of a power that never truly vanished. The most skilled rulers understand that the narrative is a weapon sharper than any sword. Wars are not only fought on battlefields. They are fought in the minds of the people who decide who is worthy to follow and who is not. Authority. If you allow your enemies to control the story of your fall, they will poison your name so deeply that even your victories will taste of defeat. But if you seize control of that story, you can turn even your lowest point into a symbol of strength. Do not reveal your wounds. The public must never see you bleed. If the crowd believes you are injured beyond repair, they will abandon you. If they believe you are still strong, they will hesitate to side with your enemies. Even when you are broken, you must project the image of a man who cannot be destroyed. This is not deceit. It is survival. The narrative you create in the days after your collapse will determine whether your name survives in whispers or in ashes. Shape it carefully. Choose what they see and what they never see. Feed them only the truths that serve you, and let the rest be buried beneath the weight of their own speculation. You are not simply defending your reputation, you are laying the foundation for your return. And when that return comes, the story they have been telling about you will work in your favor, making your rise seem not like a miracle, but like destiny fulfilled. Life will break you. Not once, not twice, but many times. It will come for you in moments of peace, in moments of triumph, in moments when you thought the storm had finally passed. But if you understand what I have told you, then each breaking is not your end. It is your transformation. Pain is the forge that tempers you into something unshakable. Detachment from emotion keeps your mind sharp when others lose themselves to chaos. Defeat in your hands becomes leverage, a mask that hides your rise until you choose to reveal it. And the control of your narrative ensures that even in ruin, you remain untouchable in the eyes of the world. The weak will see hardship as destruction. You will see it as creation. Every fall, every betrayal, every humiliation is not the closing of your story. It is the shaping of a ruler who understands that power is never given. It is built from the ashes. And when you stand again, your authority, the world will not remember the moments you were broken. They will remember that you could not be kept down.